Okay, Pantry members, this is an exclusive Pantry member recipe. Bacon toffee cookies. This is one of the best cookies, and I've made a lot of cookies in my life that I have ever made. I love these cookies. Bacon and toffee, the perfect combination. You bite into it and you get that sweetness of the toffee, and then all of a sudden, you get a crispy chunk of bacon in there, and you go, wow, oh my goodness, it's so good. So we have the bacon already fried up. And let me tell you the secret about frying bacon is just to chop it up and do it on medium heat. Don't go on high because it'll cook it fast. Don't be in a hurry. Just put it in your pan, stir it occasionally on medium-high heat, and you'll get this wonderful crispy bacon. And I don't really worry about, I drained off most of the fat, but you know, why worry about it? It's just gonna add flavor to the cookie anyway. So there we go. We're gonna make this. This is a double batch. If you wanna cut it in half, you can, but we're gonna do it in the WonderMix, a double batch of cookies in the WonderMix, which is also great just to show you the process of doing that too. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cream together our butter. And I'm just gonna drop our butter in here, and I have the cookie whips are in here. So we're gonna cream the butter with the sugars. And you can use, for the sugars, I like to dress it up a little bit. I'm using raw sugar in this one and brown sugar. Sometimes I use just pure coconut sugar. The same amount, just all coconut sugar, and it totally changes the texture and the flavor of the cookie, all for the better. So we have our brown sugar here. We're gonna dump that in there. And just some nice raw sugar, we're gonna dump that in there. And with the raw sugar, it's gonna kind of add to the toffee too. And we're just gonna, it's gonna take a minute to just cream this together. Notice I don't have the lid on there and stuff isn't flying all over. I love how the bowl is so deep, it keeps everything in the bowl and you don't have to worry about getting things through the lid. That is one of my favorite features actually about the WonderMix. So while that's creaming together, I'm gonna add some vanilla. Just a nice splash of vanilla in there. Yum. And then when you think it's creamed together enough, go ahead and add your eggs. We're gonna add 4 eggs. I'm doing a big batch, so I'm just going to scrape this down just a little bit. It's pretty well mixed in there, but I'm just scraping just a little bit. And then just put that together. Now, this is a whole grain cookie. You can either use our Wonder Flour blend, but today I'm using fresh ground spelt flour, and I ground it on the finest setting of the WonderMill. And you know, when I'm making a cookie, I feel a little bit better about eating a whole bunch of them if it's made with a whole grain. And that's why I love spelt, and that's why I love my mill, because I can take pretty much any grain. Now, if you want to make this cookie gluten-free, just add a couple of your favorite gluten-free grains in there, and you'll have a perfect gluten-free bacon toffee cookie. Now, at this point, I'm going to remove the whips, because I'm going to be adding a lot of flour and all the other ingredients. So I'm going to take the whips out, and I'm going to take the dough hook and put the dough hook in. And the dough hook is just going to mix it up perfectly. So with that, I'm going to add my flour. Here's my fresh ground spelt flour. And you know, the thing I love about spelt is you really don't get the feeling that you're eating a whole grain cookie. Whereas if you use 100% whole wheat, you know you're eating a whole wheat cookie. But with spelt, you just get that wonderful nutty flavor of the spelt. And it grinds so fine that it's like a pastry flour. So we're gonna put about 7 cups of this beautiful spelt flour in there. And then we have our baking soda and salt. Sprinkle that over the top. And then we're gonna turn this on. And once that's totally incorporated, we're gonna add our nuts, our chocolate chips, and our toffee pieces. Oh my goodness, that looks great. Kind of scrape that little bit of butter that's up there off the top. There we go. So now we have our toffee pieces here. We're going to dump those in. Our chopped walnuts, and we're using mini chocolate chips. We're going to dump those in there. Last of all, we're going to put in this bacon. And you can put as much or as little as you want, but I love bacon, so I'm going to put in, that's about 2 pounds of bacon in there. We're just going to let that bacon totally get incorporated in there. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of flour. There you go. Oh my goodness, that is going to be a fabulous cookie. And I want you to notice that everything still is not flying out of this bowl, and it is packed to the top with cookie dough. Again, one of my favorite features about the WonderMix. There we go. Once that is totally mixed, we're going to scoop them up on parchment paper and bake them in a 335-degree convection oven. Let me just give you a little trick. A little Chef Brad tip about baking cookies. I always like to bake one cookie first because that's going to tell me if I need more flour or if they're too stiff, I just pat them down a little bit more. But especially when you start using different flours that you're not used to, like spelt flour, or especially if you're doing gluten-free and you're using a different type of grain, you want to make sure that the cookie's going to be okay. So bake one first. That's better than having a whole pan that you don't know what to do with. So bake one first. If it spreads out too thin, just come back to your bowl and add a little more flour and mix it together. If it turns out like a ball and doesn't flatten, it's too late to take anything out, so just scoop it out and moisten your hand and pat it down, and then bake them, and they'll be perfect. And then next time, you know, just add a little bit less flour. So now we're going to scoop our cookies up and bake them, and oh my goodness, we're going to be in cookie heaven. Okay, I baked one cookie just to make sure it was right, and it turned out perfect. So I can just scoop my cookies up now and bake them, and know it's going to be the perfect cookie. And I can hardly wait. Look at that cookie. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Now that is
It's really good. The bacon is salty and the toffee is sweet, and it makes a really nice flavor combination in my mouth.